Hello, everybody, and welcome to another film podcast episode. That's my Dracula accent. So, in this episode, but first, that I know last year that I have talked about Abbott Costello Meets Frankenstein on Halloween, which is my first Halloween podcast episode that I did. But now that since we're in October, I decided to do a new podcast series to talk about the classic Universal monsters. From Universal Studios, and that I'll be talking about like the classic ones like Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, the creature from the Black Lagoon, but the first sub we're going to be talking about is the 1931 film Dracula. And we have a special guest here for tonight. Please welcome back to my partner and buddy here, Nathan from Monster Island Film Vault. Yeah, how's it going, buddy?
Do you hear them? The children of the night. What music they make.
Oh, I could do a better one. It's like, listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Oh, it's pretty good, actually.
Oh, wait a minute. What? Yeah. Or how about this line? Like, I am Dracula.
I am. Yeah, you got to do the pose. You know, it's the vampire pose. Yeah. I am Dracula. Got dueling Draculas here. You had the same thought I did. I was like, wait, I have a vampire cape. I should put that on for tonight. It's a live stream, and look at you. Actually, yours is better. It's got the collar. Mine doesn't have a collar. It's got the right colors.
Yeah,
the red and the black. A little hard to see with my virtual background, but yeah.
Yeah, and I wish I could shave my mustache for this, but I want to keep my mustache because I'm going as a cowboy for Halloween.
Oh, there you go. Is a specific cowboy or just a cowboy?
That's a tough question. It depends. What kind of type of cowboy costumes they have?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of famous cowboys in the world, and I was just wondering if you had a particular one in mind. I think Doc Holliday had a mustache, so
who knows? But anyway, so I want to thank you, Nathan, for joining me on this and be my backup, because it has been a nightmare to find some guesses who would volunteer to be in this episode, or my other ones that are coming soon.
Which makes no sense to me because these are seminal classic movies.
Yeah, I was gonna have the Amenvir and Daniel to be in this one, but one of them is sick and one of them are busy. But I'm just glad I have you as my backup.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, what a nightmare it was to find some guesses. And so we would be talking about the 1931 film Dracula that starred Bela Lugosi.
Oh, Bela Lugosi.
And let me say that Dracula is one of the most famous monster characters, like, for centuries. Like, it's
not centuries necessarily. The book was written in the 1880s, if I remember.
Yeah, by Bram Stoker. Yeah, who actually created the character. It was based on vampires, and
it was inspired by vampire lore and Vlad the Impaler. Who was a historical figure.
Yeah, and I heard and before I discovered that film, I mean, speaking of which, like, so I've recognized that. So I don't know. I'm getting mixed up.
It's all right.
So let's just talk about how we first discovered this film. Let's start with you.
Oh my gosh, dude, this thing is so ubiquitous. It's hard. Like, when you think of not just Dracula, but a vampire, you picture Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
He is one of the great. His portrayal of
Yeah.
Dracula is one of the most iconic things in all of cinema. To be honest, most of the Universal monsters, there are the images that we have when we think of these particular characters, even though there's been a bunch of different adaptations of all of these stories. I mean, the Christopher Lee, I don't, you know who Christopher Lee is, right?
Oh yeah. He
Yeah.
plays Dracula before.
He played Dracula in the 60s and 70s for Hammer Films over in Britain. So, there's been and there
And he
was
also played Count Dooku in the
yes.
prequel
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yep,
And
and
it's just so weird.
he was Sauron in Lord of the Rings.
Let me just say that, I mean, he played Count Dracula, but he plays Count Dooku. And I just realized that Count Dooku's his first name was called Count, and that sort of sounds similar, like,
Mhm.
because the Count Dracula is the same.
Mhm.
Count was first. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a title. Yeah, Count is a title. But yeah, so I can't honestly I was familiar with the image of Bela Lugosi as Dracula, but I honestly don't remember how old I was when I finally saw the movie. I really don't. I might have been, I want to say I was in high school,
And
maybe.
it's
That I when I
okay.
saw the movie in its entirety.
It's okay if you don't remember what
I don't
when you.
remember exactly.
Well, that's okay. No worries.
I do remember it was around Halloween time, and I want to say it might have been for a family Halloween party. I'm not, like I said, I don't remember exactly.
Like, yeah, well, it's okay. I mean, I'm so looking forward to how I first discovered this
I was
film. I
to say,
mean,
how did you find it?
well, before that film, I mean, I already discovered the character Dracula, like, from a few TV shows and
Mhm.
cartoons, like, from Scooby Doo
Mhm.
and others, and other cartoon shows too, and a few movies too, and I don't remember, but I only know the character, but not the original 1931 film Dracula starring Bela Lugosi. I mean, but how I first discovered Bela Lugosi is not Dracula, but in the film that he did play Dracula in Abbott Costello Meets Frankenstein.
Mhm.
That's how I first
I
discovered.
I think I might have seen that before I saw Dracula as well.
Yeah, I mean, I
Hmm.
first discovered Bela Lugosi as Dracula in Abbott Costello Meets Frankenstein that I did a podcast episode last year.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that film is still one of my favorite childhood memories.
Mhm.
Yeah, and yeah, that's how I know the character and and I gotta say that Bela Lugosi is one of the best Draculas ever. And
He is the Dracula as far as I care.
yeah, I mean, he did play Dracula in a few movies besides Abbott Costello Meets Frankenstein and the original. I mean, I think he played
Yeah,
Dracula like one or two times.
so
I think.
I saw a list. I will look it up. Keep talking.
Yeah, and I didn't know him. He was also from the Wolfman as one, like the Gypsy guy
Yeah, he
who.
had a few other roles in other Universal movies. One of his great aspirations is he wanted to play Frankenstein's monster, but
Yeah,
he didn't get to do that until I think the late 40s, I think. It
yeah,
was really deep into the Universal monster run.
yeah. He did play the Frankenstein monster in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, and yeah, and then he was gonna be the original Frankenstein, but they decided to. But guess he was too busy playing Dracula, and because both
Yeah, yeah.
Frankenstein.
Okay. So, oh, that starred Lon Chaney. All right. So, House of Frankenstein, Dracula came back in that. Did that have Bella? Did that have Bella in it? Let me see. No, that was not Bella. That was a different guy. And
Yeah,
then,
he wasn't in House of Frankenstein or House of Dracula.
yeah, I'm double checking this because I'm trying to remember. Okay, no, that was John Carradine in both of those for Dracula. I don't know if he did come back. I know he was in Abbott and Costello and Meet Frankenstein. I know that
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
Bela
and
Lugosi, yeah, as Dracula. All right. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Dracula wasn't like I think it wasn't one of the first vampire movies were ever made. I mean, I know that the first vampire movie was Nosferatu.
Yeah, which I've seen. It was a
I
silent
never seen
movie.
that
Yeah,
before.
it's a silent movie from the mid-20s. It's technically an adaptation of Dracula, but they drop all the names
Yeah,
and
I
stuff,
never
but it's
seen
basically the same story.
Yeah, I never seen Nosferatu before.
It's worth watching, at
But
least there's a remake coming out
and
next
do you
year.
want to know how I first discovered this character? From a SpongeBob episode.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was in a SpongeBob episode. That's how
yeah,
I first discovered that character.
yeah,
Like
fun
I remember when I remember watching one of old Cinemassacre's Monster Madness
yes.
YouTube videos that he did a review on that film. I was like, hey, that's the guy from SpongeBob.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun fact. That movie is where we got the idea that sunlight kills vampires.
Yeah,
And they did it because they didn't know what to do. They just knew they had to kill the monster. Like, well, what do we do to kill a monster? It's like, sunlight. Because in the
yeah.
original book, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I have read, Dracula doesn't like sunlight, but he can come out in sunlight. He just doesn't like it. It doesn't kill him.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought sunlight kills vampires.
Like I said, it was in the movie Nosferatu where that's where that idea came from. In the novel, it didn't kill him, but he could, he just didn't like it because he's pale, so he's very sensitive to sunlight.
Oh, and so I want to talk about how I first discovered this film. I mean, I didn't discover the 31 film Dracula until I somewhere in middle school I was in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I discovered this film in my middle school years. I remember one of the Legacy Collection DVDs, if you
Mm-hmm.
remember, with all the Dracula monsters all in one collection, and from Frankenstein, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love those collections. I miss them so much, and yeah, that's how I first discovered the original film, and I watched it for the first time, and I guess I watched it and I was like, wow. I mean, I watched the whole film. I mean, it was and I just watched the film like just yesterday
Mm-hmm.
and just a week ago I watched the Philip Glass audio track version.
Oh, I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I watched the Philip Glass track version last week for the first time.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, because there's no music in the original version.
Yeah, no music.
Yeah, it's weird, but this was 1931. Sound movies were still very new at that point. Before that, they were silent movies, and if there was any music, it was music that was being played live in the theater. Like they would actually have whole orchestras or bands that would play music live to the movies.
Yeah, but there was there was music in the original film before the opening credits of the Swamp
Oh, that's
theme.
true. That's true. That's true. But
Yeah,
once you get past the credits into the movie itself, there's no music.
yeah, I love the Swamp theme
Mm-hmm.
for the opening credits. They actually use that in other Universal films too, like The Mummy and The Phantom of the Opera, and
Mm-hmm. No, not the original, because there was a silent version of Phantom of the Opera in the 20s. You're thinking of the early 40s one, I think.
the one with Claw Rays.
Yes, the one with Claude
I
Rains.
never seen that.
I have, and it's okay.
Yeah, and then yeah. So yeah, that's how I first discovered that film in my middle school years. I kind of like it, and then I remember I used to watch these classic Universal monster films with my dad
Mm-hmm.
back then when wherever whatever time he lets me spend the night in his room, and then
Uh-huh.
my mom just sleeps in my room. And we just do movie nights,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just watch these. I just love watching these classic films with my dad.
Right,
And
right. I have a question for you, Brandon.
what?
Brendan. It's Brendan, not Brandon. Sorry. Brendan, have you seen the Spanish language version?
I've heard of it, but I never seen it.
Oh, you
But I
should.
did watch some clips of it
I was
back.
gonna say you should watch it. It's an interesting comparison. I've seen it.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. We'll talk about the compares to that and the Spanish version, and we'll get to that later. And yeah, and so me and my dad watched this for the first time back then, and he kind of likes it, and we loved some of the lines in this, and the one we just did, and especially Renfield's line saying "rats, rats, rats,
Danny,
thousands, millions of them."
yeah, that's really good. Actually, Danny does an amazing Renfield. You should hear him do it.
I wish I could have him uh, on my podcast right now, but I don't know if he's like, but he says he's busy, and but yeah, so Danny, if you are watching this, yeah, I gotta say you did like a best Renfield impression. If only you could show us of us on here right now. I mean, hopefully. So yeah, and let me tell you a strange story, Nathan. I mean, I know, yeah. After I saw this film, I know that, yeah, I'm. It's not just me and my dad watch these classic Universal monsters together. I also watch these films with my grandmother, which
Mhm.
I still do. And every time I come over her house, and we watch these old classic Universal films, and with Abbott Costello and the Universal monsters. Uh, but the one Universal monster film that she doesn't like is Dracula. I was like, why you don't like the 31 Dracula film? She explains why it's because of some scenes of Bela Lugosi does just look like some creepy scenes that of his looks, like his close-ups of his face, like and all those glowing eyes, and
That's the
she's
point. He's mesmerizing people.
yeah, and but yeah, but she did like Bela Lugosi in Abbott Costello Meets Frankenstein,
Mhm.
but not the original 31 film.
Okay.
That's like fine. I mean, so like I said, I did my best doing research of this film. I mean, I think while they're doing this film, I mean, that one scene when after the opening credits, when the I think I did watch. I watched it on my Blu-ray disc of the film, and I look at the special feature saying Drax Tracks. I mean, I did press on it. I mean, the reason it says Drax Tracks, and I mean Dracula's Tracks. I mean, it
Mhm.
just shows some subtitles explain where the film where the scenes were shots were located and which day that they filmed it.
Mhm.
It is so cool. I think they filmed that shot on I think almost on I think right in the middle between the beginning and the last day of filming, I think. But I'm not sure. But I love that horse carriage and the sound effect, like yeah, I love that.
Again, sound movies were very, very new at that point, so they worked a lot on those sound effects.
Speaking of sound effects, I mean, I know that the Spanish version of Dracula wasn't the only one. There's also not just the Philip Glass 2. I mean, there was also a silent version of this film,
Really?
just a normal silent film. With yeah, with blank subtitles, and like
Hmm.
there was another version of that, but my guess is maybe that version is probably lost, but I'm not sure if
Well,
it's
the
if
only
that
one
still
I know,
exists.
the only one I know of is Nosferatu. Yeah, and this was the first sound film to
Yeah,
feature
that is like one of the
Dracula.
first sound film. And Universal was going to release both versions, the sound and silent version.
Hmm.
That's my guess. I mean, like I said, I did some research of that, and
Yeah, I'm checking to see. Let me see. Oh, you are.
correct.
Uh, oh, okay. No, the one I'm looking at. Okay, there was one called in 1921. It was called Dracula's Death, but it's a lost film.
Oh, I did not
Yeah,
know that.
yeah, yeah. It's a lost film, and then you had Nosferatu from 1922. I thought it was a little later than that, and that was made in Germany. And then you had this and the Spanish version of the character. So this was only the third time that Dracula had ever been in a movie.
Yeah, and his, yeah, and also if you notice in that scene where the carrots taking the people to that village, I mean, they one of them did mention about Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm trying to remember where that name comes from, as I do think it's connected to the novel. I think it means vampire. I could be wrong on that.
If you notice, that lady is almost fell over and lands on that guide and then sits back down. I mean, the one with the
Mm-hmm.
glasses.
Right.
I think that's one of the Universal owner's daughter.
Oh.
I don't remember the name, but yeah, she is like one of the last survivor actors of this film. I mean, until she passed away in 2014 in the age of
Mm.
104.
Dang.
Yeah, I know, right? She is one of the last survivors.
Wow. Yeah, it says that Nosferatu is an old Romanian word that's associated with vampire.
Yeah.
And nobody knows exactly what it means.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, it says okay, no, that's Transylvania. Never mind.
Oh, Oh, you mean Hotel Transylvania?
No, but that they got that they got that because of this movie. Well, in the novel too, because Transylvania was used in the novel. It's a real
Yeah.
place.
I love that film, Hotel Transylvania. I should do a podcast episode about it someday.
You should.
Yeah, it because it has my celebrity crush in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't know who my celebrity crush is? It's Selena Gomez.
Oh, okay. I was just like, which is like you're talking about you're not. I was thinking like you're not talking about Adam Sandler, are
What?
you?
No.
I was a little like, who? Okay, because I
Yeah,
knew
but we're
Adam
getting
Sandler
off
was in
topic.
it.
I mean,
Yeah, we are getting off topic.
yeah. So yeah, we did talk about this woman who was in this film, who was the last survivor who passed away 2014, and yeah, and then she was also
Do you remember her name?
I don't remember, but let me look it up. I mean, is
Who was
I
she again?
she was the lady who was in the beginning of the film.
Oh, okay. She wasn't one of the main cast members.
I know I
Let me see. Here, I'll try. We'll do it live.
we're doing it live.
All right, let me see.
But
IMDb is probably going to be a better one for this. Okay.
and Well, the one thing I know, like before Bela Lugosi did play Dracula, I mean, he did perform some stage performance.
As Dracula. Yeah, that's how he
Yep,
got the part.
yep. And before that, he didn't speak English before the film. I mean,
No, it's I'm trying to remember where he's from. I think he's from Eastern Europe. He had to learn his lines phonetically. He was an
yeah,
immigrant. Yeah, he's Hungarian. That's what. Yeah, he was Hungarian.
yeah, and no wonder he does a great Dracula accent of his voice. But,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. I remember this one line he said to Rankfield saying, "I have chartered a ship that would take us to England. We will be leaving tomorrow evening." Yeah, yeah, I remember some lines in this thing.
Okay, wait. This is the Spanish version. I'm looking at the wrong one.
Well, what I did learn that in the Spanish version, they reused the same set from the original.
They did. It's wild.
Yeah, it is wild. And they actually used some stock footage.
Did? Oh yeah, I guess they did.
Yeah, and what I did learn that that scene when the ship takes them to London, that scene.
Hey, is the actress you're looking for Daisy Belmore?
I think.
Because she's listed as coach passenger.
Yeah, I think so.
Nope,
And
it can't be her. She died in 1954. Okay.
yeah, but it doesn't matter. I mean, so you know that one scene when the ship takes them to London, and then shows all the crewmen are on the ship, and then waves hit him. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think that was actually stock footage from a Universal silent film.
Oh, really?
I don't remember the name of it. Yeah, but if yeah, just so you know what I'm talking about, that it. You're still looking it up, or
Yeah, I'm still looking. Here it is. I found her. Carla Lamley. Lamley.
yeah, Carl Langley.
Carla Lamley. She 2014. She was 105.
Wow, I thought she was 104.
It says 1909 to 2014, so she was 105.
Wow, she's pretty much had a long, good life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if you notice, Nathan, like I remember when it's the one scene when they arrive in the village, when the camera shot the people in the room with the baby in the crib, and if you notice, they're speaking in a different language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what language they're speaking in.
Out in that would have been out in Transylvania. I'm trying to remember where exactly. It's in Eastern Europe. I'm trying to remember where that is exactly. Let me see. Transylvania. Oh, it's probably Hungarian because it's over. Yeah, Transylvania's over in Hungary.
Yeah,
And it's close. Oh, okay. Wait. Historical cultural region. Eastern. Romania. Actually, it might be Romanian.
oh,
That's what it is. Yeah, I just saw. Yeah, it's Romanian. Excuse me, because that's where it is. Yeah, I just saw when I looked at this entry, I just saw, the Hungarian name for Transylvania, and I was thinking of how Bela Lugosi was Hungarian. So yeah, so it's probably Romanian.
Yeah, and I like the part when Rankfield is going to visit Dracula, because I correct me if I'm wrong or right. I mean, but Renfield was going to Dracula's castle. There's something about a new apartment in London or something, or
Oh no, he was going to move. Yeah, he just bought a property in London. So Dracula was moving there and he was going over there to finalize the business for that.
yeah, that's what I thought too. I'm trying to remember, and I love how the villagers warn Renfield that Dracula is a vampire,
Mm-hmm.
and they explain that he takes the form of wolves and bats. And
Mm-hmm.
when I saw this for the first time and I heard what he said, he transformed to wolves, I was like, wait, Dracula can turn into a wolf
Yep,
too?
that's a bit of traditional vampire lore that they can transform into bats and wolves. That's from the novel as well.
Yeah, I thought they only transformed into bats.
That's the more popular version because because the cape makes him look like a bat. It
Yeah.
looks a little bit like a bat, but yeah, he can turn into a wolf. I've seen other vampire movies where the vampire turns into a wolf.
Yeah, and I just noticed that and also Nosferatu did transform into a wolf too, but a coyote or a coyote instead, or a hyena. I don't,
No, it wasn't a hyena. It was probably still a wolf. Coyotes are more associated with America, not not in Europe. Wolves are are associated with Europe and America. So
yeah. So, and I want to talk about the Dracula and his wives.
the
I want to talk.
brides, yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
they're also from the book. But
Yeah,
this movie is actually, this is kind of weird. The movie is based on a stage play that
yeah,
adapted the book.
yep,
So it's not really an adaptation of the original novel because it's twice removed from the novel.
yeah. Because I think uh, the three wives were not in the original novel.
They were. I just
Oh,
said they were. The brides were in there. In fact, the brides did a lot of crazy stuff in the book.
like
Like
there.
I'm trying to remember somebody. I'm trying to remember which character in the novel saw this. I don't remember, but one of them saw the brides climbing up a wall.
And they were also in that movie Van Helsing.
Yes, Van Helsing. Yeah, because Dracula was in that. He was the main
Yeah,
villain in that.
I'm not gonna say that Dracula in this film he used more he used more into like a woman, yes, guy. He's all because he's into women, because some
Oh,
scenes
okay.
when
Yeah, okay.
he's
He preys on women. Yeah.
yeah, on blood. I mean,
Yeah.
some people,
No, I mean he drank Renfield's blood too.
yeah,
That's why Renfield became basically his servant. That's why he's always calling him master.
yeah. I was
Because that's vampire lore. If a vampire can exert control over you, he can mesmerize you, and especially if a vampire actually bites you, he gets control over you.
yeah, and I was gonna say that some people said that Dracula is a vampire, isn't to women. They say
Oh,
some people say that he's a woman's man.
okay.
I
I've
don't know
not
why,
heard that
because
one. I've not heard that one. Every version of the story I've ever seen, he's preying on women.
yeah, it's because especially that one scene when he was walking in the street in London,
Yeah.
and then suddenly this girl is selling flowers, saying,
Uh-huh.
But
Mhm. Mhm.
I was like, what are you saying? Yeah, when I saw this, like, when I watch that scene, I have no idea what that girl is saying. So,
Mm-hmm.
the Dracula is just give her that look and then just kind of sucks her blood. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I realized before I saw this film, I mean, I know that some Dracula cartoons and movies that Dracula has fangs, long, sharp
Yep.
fangs.
They didn't
But
show the fangs in this.
yeah, and
It's implied. It's very, very implied.
I know, like, how did Dracula have 3 wives? How is that like
Oh, it's
possible?
those are just 3 victims that he's preyed upon before, and he just keeps them around.
Oh, so that's like the normal average human women
Yeah,
who
those are 3 of his victims. He just kept them around. Because he even says in the movie when they start figuring out that he's going after Mina, and he says she'll live forever with me. Basically, she would have become another one of the brides.
yeah, and as I noticed, and yeah, and then Nina and her fiance
John.
John was Dracula's next door neighbor, and
Mm-hmm.
I think along with Van Helsing, that actor who played Van Helsing is one. I know him a few Universal films. He was in The Mummy and
Yep.
Frankenstein, and what else is he in? Those are the only two.
I'm trying to look it up. Let's see. Edward Van Sloan. Let me look. He was in Frankenstein, and trying to see what other ones. The Mummy. Man, he's been in a lot. He's been in a lot of movies.
He was in Dracula's Daughter. That's
Dracula's Daughter,
the
which was
sequel.
the first sequel. Dracula himself is not in it though.
Yeah, I know. And because of what happens in the ending of the film.
Right. Right. Good grief, he made a lot of movies. I'm just trying to see what else.
And he was a stock footage in that new movie from last year called
Renfield.
Renfield.
Yeah.
I never seen that.
I haven't either, but I will admit Nicolas Cage as Dracula sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, I heard that this film is like a rip-off comedy.
It's a comedy, but I wouldn't call it a rip-off.
Yeah, because I never seen that film, but I don't know if this is like a few years sequel or
No, it's just another Dracula adaptation. Probably, it takes loose inspiration from the original book. It's not related to this movie. Just like the Hammer Films Dracula movies with Christopher Lee are not connected to the Universal movies.
Right. I love the part when Van Helsing is showing Drac the mirror boss saying, "I stumbled upon an amazing thing, something so incredible. Look." I like it I love it when he says "look" like that, like look.
Yeah, and then Bella just smacks it out of his hand.
Yeah,
and then quickly composes himself. He's like, "You are very wise, Dr. Van Helsing."
Yeah, and he's trying to act innocent and I want to talk about Dwight Fry, who plays Winfield. I gotta say, I mean, in the beginning, until the castle, he's just a normal average person who just acts normal and a little smart.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just looked him up. He died only 12 years after this movie. Sad.
Yeah, he died young from a heart attack.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he also plays Fritz in Frankenstein as the Hunchback.
Yes.
And he was in The Invisible Man and
the Maltese Falcon.
and he was in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the films I know him so far.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, but
Bride of Frankenstein's a great movie. You should do an episode on that one.
I always like if I had time before October ends.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, if you're the ones you're doing this year, those are the really important ones. Those are the core movies. But yeah,
I mean,
but
I'm probably not going to do any Universal Monsters sequels. I'm just talking about.
oh well, if you only do one, do Bride of Frankenstein because it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So let's get back to the Renfield. I mean, he was normal at first in the beginning of the film until, and I love the part where I love his personality like in the beginning, but not so much that he went crazy and
Dwight Fry plays crazy very well.
yeah, and oh yeah. Yeah, his laugh is enough to make you faint. I mean, especially
like he did the poor maid.
Yeah, and I mean his laugh and then he's like, when I heard it, I was like, what is that? What is that? A lawnmower is going off?
A lawnmower.
Yeah, I don't know how to subscribe to that. I don't know how to describe that laugh. Is there like a lawnmower breaking down or just a car running?
Those are some apt descriptions, I will say.
It's yeah, and I love the part when Renfield just cut himself with the paperclip, and then Drax sees like,
and he really wants it, yeah.
Yeah, when he is doing that to his finger, it's almost like he's squeezing it. I was like a pimple.
That wouldn't necessarily go that far, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, and then the piece of the cross necklace drops, and then Drax turn away. I want to talk about that.
Yeah. What?
Like, why did they learned that some vampire weaknesses are just a symbol of a cross,
a crucifix.
I mean that's a cross, like.
Yeah, well, but a crucifix is specifically worn by a priest.
Yeah, and then Drax just turns around and doesn't want to look.
They don't like those because those are holy things. They're symbols of holy things, and vampires are evil, and so that it scares them.
And I love the way Renfield thinks that Drax being grossed up by the blood. It was like, oh, it's nothing serious. It's a small cut from that paper clip.
Yeah.
I just love that. But I learned in the Spanish version, but it wasn't a paper clip of a paper, but he was having dinner. He cut his finger with a knife.
Yeah.
That's what I learned. I mean,
yeah.
So, do you want to talk about the compares to the Spanish version and the original? I mean, what I learned, I know they used that same opening scene of the horse's carriage.
It's the exact same script. It's just all the lines are in Spanish. There are a couple of scenes that are not in the English language version. They're not, but I don't think any of them have dialogue. It's just like the scene when you know how they have Dracula on the ship in the English language version. They just show Renfield, and it implies Renfield goes off and does things. Then we see in the next shot that the entire crew of that ship, they were all killed. Well, it looks like it was Renfield who did it. In the Spanish version, they actually show a shot of Dracula getting out of his coffin and getting ready to attack all of the crew members. And I think it's during a storm as well. And you actually see the Dracula actor in that one. He actually bares his teeth a little bit, like he's snarling. from what I can remember. It's been a minute since I've seen it. And, so that one is different. They also they're a little bit more ambitious in the Spanish version with how they use the camera. So, like, the camera moves more, they do dolly shots. There's a little bit more special effects in the Spanish version. So, they would make mist on the set, for things like, like when the coffin opens and things like that. So a lot of people really like those when compared to the original, to the English language version. But I think personally that the acting, especially from Bela Lugosi, I think the acting is better in the English language version. The acting in the Spanish version's a little too over the top, which is very much that the style of acting that's popular in Spanish speaking countries, like Mexico, Cuba, and places like that.
And when I also learned that when after Dracula becomes a bat, and then distracts Renfield, and then Renfield faints it, and Dracula shoo his wives away. I mean, back off, and then he
Yeah.
sucks the blood out of Renfield,
Yeah.
But in the Spanish version, the one of the wives sucked his blood.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that's how I remember. I never was. I see some of the scenes of the Spanish version.
Yeah. Well, like, it's I've seen it, but it's been a while.
And yeah, and I can say, like, I know that like was Renfield went crazy in the whole film. I mean, after Dracula sucks his blood. I mean, after Dracula sucked Renfield's blood. I mean, he went crazy. I mean, shouldn't he be a vampire too, instead of going insane? Or
that's the thing where it starts getting a little bit weird, because you can, if you get bitten by a vampire, you can become a vampire, or you can become basically a servant of the vampire, but you're not necessarily a vampire yourself. I've seen some other vampire movies where they have a ghoul who serves them, who's not a vampire, but I think they had been bitten by the vampire, and they didn't turn into one, they became a ghoul instead. And some people just die after they get bit. I think it depends on how much blood the vampire takes from a victim.
That's interesting. It's almost like Dracula is draining his brain cells. I mean, or
not necessarily.
But I'm not sure. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just my guess.
Just to let you know, I've seen and read, some stuff. I'm thinking specifically of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which has Mina Harker in it, and she has become a vampire in that because of what Dracula did to her.
Yeah, Nina.
Yeah, Mina. Yeah, the girl in this one. Now, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is quote unquote a sequel to the book, not to this movie. But the idea is that because of what Dracula did to her, she became a vampire later on.
But she did suck the blood to the other women in that film.
Right? In League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? Or are you talking about this movie?
This movie.
This movie? No. I don't think she didn't. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I mean,
the brides did. The brides did. Because they are vampires.
I mean, in the original, there were two women, Nina and her friend.
Lucy.
Lucy. What did she got her blood sucked too? I mean, by Dracula?
Yes.
And then she died because of that one scene where she was in the surgery room, and then yeah, with Van Helsing, and yeah, so I want to talk about Van Helsing, who's played by that we did mention, and was it Edwards?
What?
I had to look up the actor who played Van Helsing.
Oh, Edward
I,
Van Sloan.
Edward Van Sloan. Yeah, he does an amazing job.
Oh,
But
he's great. He is great in this movie.
yeah, and he does an amazing job as Van Helsing. I mean, I know they made a movie of Van Helsing, but
Yeah, with
and
the dang it, Hugh Jackman.
I know the character Van Helsing. I mean, after this film, I mean, they made some other films or some shows or movies. They made Van Helsing into like a vampire hunter who just hunts vampires. It just
Yeah,
used,
they use the name, but it's not necessarily the same character.
nah. It's just in this original film, he's just a normal average doctor. Like
Yeah, but he gets to kill Dracula. That's the
yeah.
important thing. Yeah, same thing happens in the book.
Yeah, it's almost like Van Helsing is Dracula's arch enemy.
You could make that argument, yeah.
Yeah, and I did learn the name in Hotel Transylvania 3 that they made this character. It's an anime movie from Sony that they made that character to Dracula's arch enemy villain
Oh, okay.
who
Yeah.
who has a big mustache, beard, long hair, and
That-
he has all kinds of machinery, guns, fires there are like electric science style to it, and I'm a huge fan of Hotel Transylvania.
I can tell.
And in this one, like I know that Van Helsing was Dracula's arch enemy for centuries back then, before the future. I mean,
Okay.
then years later, Dracula met a beautiful woman on a cruise ship named Erica, but she hid her last name, that she is the great granddaughter of Van Helsing.
Oh.
Yeah, and Van Helsing is still alive with her great granddaughter, and but they replace Van Helsing's body with technology. He's like a half human, half robot.
Gotcha. Oh, and I just looked it up. The Van Helsing, played by Hugh Jackman, is a different Van Helsing. He's Gabriel Van Helsing, and the one in this story is Abraham Van Helsing.
So, and yes, but my theory is just that I feel like Dracula and Van Helsing are enemies to each other,
Oh yeah.
And I especially that one party is Dracula's almost come near Van Helsing. Indeed. Yeah, when Van Helsing hold up the symbol of the
crucifix.
The crucifix.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's almost like you're shooing Dracula away. Like
that's one way to put it. He's also the only guy who could resist Dracula's, basically his hypnotic powers.
Yeah,
Dracula even tells him, "You have a strong will."
Yeah, he's like,
and he takes like 2 steps and then stops.
Yeah, because
Dracula's impressed. He doesn't run into people who can.
Dracula is like he's trying to hypnotize Van Helsing, but he didn't like fall for it. It was like,
nope.
I wonder why. Maybe because he's wearing glasses. If you know,
no. Dracula said it's because his will is too strong.
Yeah, I didn't know, but I thought it was like the glasses he was wearing. I think glasses are like shield protectors of your eye.
No, it's because Van Helsing is too strong-willed. And earlier he actually said that Van Helsing was a very wise for someone who hadn't even lived one lifetime.
Yeah. So I want to talk about more about Renfield. I mean, I know he's like a crazy guy. I mean, he's all crazy in the film. He's especially the nurse in the nursing home is like, or the crazy house. He's trying to that guy throw out his spider and it's like flies, and like he says that, and some scenes that he was like in a panic when Dracula's around, saying, "No, no, master, I wasn't gonna say anything to them. I swear, I'm loyal to you, master."
Yep.
Yeah, it's almost like Dracula is spying on him. It's like he wants to make sure he doesn't like betray him
Uh-huh.
until he did kill Renfield at the end when he in that one scene with the long stairways, and then it was like it's almost like, yeah, oh my god, Renfield is gonna be it will be the end of him. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when the two guys like Van Helsing followed them, is that Renfield didn't even know that he was being followed, and Dracula thought that Renfield betrayed Dracula and
Mm-hmm.
turning him in.
Yeah.
I love that part. It was like, I didn't bring it here, master. I didn't know. I
Yep.
swear.
Like I said, the acting in this is just great.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially yeah. And I like to say I love how when Dracula is telling him like, wait, and it then he comes near Renfield. That he's trying to talk him out of it is saying, "I'm loyal to him, master. I didn't betray you.
Yep.
Don't kill me." And
Yep.
then and he didn't kill Renfield by just choking him. It's like strangling him. Like
Yep.
you get, especially his scream.
Yep.
It was like
That
shocking.
that actually got censored a bit from what I read later on.
Yeah, I did notice in my Legacy DVD collection that scream was silent for a bit,
Yep.
and also along with Dracula's scream at the end when he got with the wooden stick when Van
Yep.
Helsing.
Yep. That was because when the movie was originally made, that was before something that was called the Hays Code was put into practice, because the Hollywood studios were getting in a little bit of trouble for some of the things that they were showing in their movies like that. They thought, they were getting complaints about it from people,
Yeah,
and they didn't want the government to come in and start telling them what they could and couldn't make, so they instituted what was called the Hays Code, named after the guy who wrote it up. The guy is his last name was Hayes, and so it's like this. Okay, these are the rules we're going to abide by. So we'll censor ourselves as opposed to other people censor. Having the government come in and regulate what we can do.
yeah,
And this was made before that, but then when the movie was released later, they applied the Hays Code to it, and then that's why they censored certain things.
yeah, and then his yeah. I mean that. Yeah, that happened in my original DVD collection of the Legacy collection but when I had the Blu-ray, I'm just glad I had the Blu-ray version of it. They brought back that.
Yeah.
I say I like that version better, and
Yeah.
it, yeah. Then, oh wow, we're almost up to an hour.
Yeah.
So, I also love the part when, also in the Spanish version when we just talked about when Dracula chose Renfield, and then but in the Spanish version he doesn't throw him across when he was rolling down the stairs. Instead, I think Dracula just throw him off the stairs. Like that's if I remember correctly.
If I should have watched the Spanish version before coming on the show. I didn't do that. I don't remember what happened to him, to be honest.
Yeah, and also like what I want to talk about Nina. Like I know I want to talk about the comparison of Nina in the original and the Spanish version. And
Okay.
I mean, Nina in the original is just like a normal average girl. I mean, he's that one scene when he was staring when she was under Dracula's control. I mean, she stared at her fiance weirdly. She she was almost about to suck his blood. But Nina in the Spanish version, I learned, is even kind of more sexier.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was even more sexier than the original.
Yeah. Again, that was the style of acting that the Spanish speaking audience was expecting.
Yeah, and I love the part when Van Helsing show her the symbol. I forgot the name.
The crucifix.
The crucifix, and it kind of scares her, and then fiance, what are you trying to fry her to death? No, I was just saving her.
Yeah.
Saving her. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love that. It was like, because Van Helsing knows that she's a vampire under Dracula's control.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think she's like a full vampire of that.
Not quite. That's why they're trying to save her.
So, well, Nathan, I think we're just about that time. And then,
okay,
is there anything else you want to talk about this film?
I will bring up one really important thing that that we definitely need to mention, which is
I was thinking, I just had the same thought too. I think
really?
I don't know if we were thinking the same thing, but after Bela Lugosi did his career acting for years, ever since after Dracula, he played Dracula a few times. I mean, and Bela Lugosi did play hold on, let me look it up. I mean,
he only played Dracula one more time, but he did play a vampire a couple more times.
Yeah, I mean, Bela Lugosi passed away like during his last film.
Yes, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah,
which I have seen.
Yeah, I think it was released in 1956. I think
around there.
Yeah, he passed away in 1956, and the weirdest thing is he was buried with a cape.
Yep.
Yeah,
just like the ones we're wearing.
Yep, and yeah, I don't know what cause of his. He died from a heart attack.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it says it right here, and
yeah,
I was so shocked that he was buried with a cape.
I'm not surprised.
That I learned it from Cinemassacre's Monster Madness.
There you go. There you go. But no, what I was going to bring up was this movie started the very first cinematic universe.
Yeah, of Universal Monsters.
The Universal Monster movies.
Yep.
Because they are a shared universe. This was the first cinematic universe. People think Marvel did it first. No, they didn't. And then some people are like, well, Toho did it with their Godzilla movies and their Kaiju movies. Yeah. But Universal did it first.
Yep, Universal
because they did crossover movies with with those monsters, which basically confirmed that they were all set in the same universe.
Yep, and Dracula,
the Wolfman and Frankenstein, Dracula, they all met each other.
Yep, and Dracula was the one that started all of the Universal monsters, and
so basically, this is the Iron Man of the Universal monsters.
Yep. And then later, after the other Universal monsters were released, they just Universal decided they want to do crossovers, like Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and also let's not forget the best one as like a rip-off comedy, Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely gonna watch that movie on Halloween.
Oh, you should.
It is really good. So Dracula is the one that started it all, and not along with Frankenstein that was released a few months after this film release.
Yep.
So that's all I had to say for right now. About Dracula from 1931.
Yep. And just to let everybody know real quick, Bela Lugosi didn't play Dracula in any of the other movies other than Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, but he did play a vampire in 3 other movies: Mark of the Vampire, Return of the Vampire, and Mother Riley Meets the Vampire.
Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention, that before filming, Bela Lugosi wasn't like the original casting choice for Dracula. The original casting choice for the main character is Lon Chaney Sr.
Yep.
Yep, he's the one with the many faces.
Yep, because Lon Chaney was pretty popular at the time.
Yeah, so Chaney Sr. was going to be the original Dracula, but sadly he passed away before filming.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I learned. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so thank you all so much for joining me, Nathan, for my backup, and hopefully I'll have you again someday.
I would love to. I would love to. It's been a pleasure being on the show.
Yeah, so thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next episode of the next Universal Monster. But I can't tell you what the next one
Oh,
is.
I was gonna say, what's the next one?
I can't tell what it is. I might do these out of order or something. I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
Not until next time. So, yeah, so long, everybody, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.